I've been seeing some mixed reviews on the newest Nightmare Mode update. I love to talk about how Dying Light 2 can improve. It's one of my favorite things to do on this channel. But the Nightmare Mode on its own, without any critical opinions, was just an incredible experience, and I want you all to try it out for yourselves. Naturally, because this game is a sequel, we love to compare how we felt playing the original game to how we now feel playing this. And one of the biggest takeaway points was that Dying Light 1's nights were scarier. It was just something about the way that we were first introduced to the volatile. I mean, how could you possibly ever forget that first nighttime chase in Dying Light 1? Without a doubt in my mind, it is what got us all hooked. And whenever the sequel came around, a lot of players were talking about how they missed that fear factor. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, it is back and it is swinging and it is not gonna let you go. Because this Nightmare Mode is the best way to play Dying Light 2. Despite all of its faults, you have to admit that the nighttime chases in the Nightmare Mode are the best things that have come to this game. And part of why I enjoyed this update so much is because I didn't feel the need to look at it in a critical view. It just works.
I'm not kidding.
In the past updates, a lot of the game was still in a less desirable state, I'll put it that way. So while Techland was making pretty good changes, the fact that the foundational gameplay was a bit weak is why those updates didn't mean all that much to me. But with this update alone, Techland fixed, I believe, to be one of the biggest problems with the gameplay with the viral leap. Everybody's heard it a million times, so I'll just cut to the chase, guys. It is fixed, and I don't have any more complaints with it. And this fix alone makes this update so important, because now wherever you go in this game, you won't have to be dealing with this. Everywhere. Old Villador, the Central Loop, DLC 2, even for those of you that are playing the Carnage Hall challenges, the viral leap no longer plagues this game's experience. But speaking of the game's experience, the nighttime was a concern to many, like I mentioned earlier. I actually found myself getting scared in the chases. I was not expecting this. I have over 600 hours in this game, and as I was running at night, it was an entirely new experience as a whole. I was so impressed. I was invited to join in on a playtest for the Nightmare Mode, but I'm kind of glad that I was able to play it in its fully realized state with the rest of the community. I didn't have a PC at the time, but it was just such a refreshing feeling. It felt like Dying Light 2. It gave me the feeling that I was playing in one of the game's trailers. It was that cool. There is a bit of a negative view on the update though, because at the end of the day, the game is still Dying Light 2. If you didn't enjoy the game before, I doubt the Nightmare Mode is going to make you enjoy it now. And yes, it's obviously worth acknowledging there is still a lot of work to be done in other areas of the game I don't care to mention in this video though. The center of the stage is the Nightmare Mode because I fully believe it deserves it, and I think that it is a great addition to Dying Light 2. How do you feel about the first chase?
It was a lot different than previous difficulties. It's a lot more engaging, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like you actually have to stay focused and not like, because half the time I'm relaxed as shit during.
Yeah, it's all just coming at you. And since I'm too lazy to make a script, I'm going to talk about what was added in the update off the top of my head, so if I miss anything, please talk about it in the comments. As far as I know, once you play in the Nightmare difficulty, you're going to be losing a lot of your HUD elements. Unfortunately, this actually includes things like your immunity circle as well as the game's time, which are kind of interesting choices made by Techland, but I can kind of understand why they took it that direction. But a lot of community members are asking for you to actually look at your biomarker to be able to tell how far down you are towards becoming a zombie. And I gotta say, I think this is a really good idea, and it's going to elevate the immersion that much more. If this hasn't been said already, I think it might be a good idea to even throw in some watch functionality, so that way you can tell the time and see your biomarker all at the same time. Another thing that was added was a tactical stamina mechanic, which can be toggled on or off in the other difficulties, but as soon as you step into the Nightmare Mode, you're going to be forced to use it. And you might be wondering what that even means. Basically, the game just cuts back on your stamina functionality, so you have to be more strategic with when you swing, how much you run, and especially at night when you paraglide. Something worth noting is if you do use up all your stamina, you should probably get to a more conservative place because it's going to take longer to fill up, especially if you're trying to continuously swing. But at this point, you're only going to be allowed to push. But those things lead me into into the next part of this update. Many community members were concerned about the paraglider being used in chases, and they said that it was too easy. It made chases completely a joke. And I'm very pleased to say that the chases are much harder now because the paraglider doesn't work like how you remember. Firstly, your stamina bar depletes so quickly it's not even funny. And if you do get around to even trying to use your paraglider, the volatiles make a much greater effort at shooting you down. So if you dare to step into the nightmare mode, you should be a little more equipped with things like UV bars, the UV flashlight, and your favorite boosters. Because, like I just said, I am happy to say that the paraglider doesn't quite work that well in chases. This next feature is something that I always wanted because I'm not the type to want to sift through all my gear and stuff, so I'm really happy that Techland created the loadout system. If any of you were turned off by the sheer amount of stuff you can have in this game, this makes it a little bit easier, so you can now organize something like a nighttime kit, a parkour kit, whatever you want to put together. It is so much easier to flip between one another. I think that streamlining this process is a great quality of life improvement, and it just fits perfectly in an update like this. Now, of course, I have to talk about the big bad wolf, being the volatile tyrants joining us in our chases at a new level 5. I think I definitely have to do some work on curating my kits to better suit me at nighttime because I am getting 1 or 2 shot by pretty much everything. But I think that's what makes this so good. It's a real challenge that not only feels different, but it looks different. It gives you the feel of an apocalypse. And honestly, it feels pretty good dying to more than just my own fall damage. This next part is totally unrelated to everything I just talked about, and that is Techland made co-op community maps a thing. This footage shows that it's pretty cool, it works, but I think some underlying co-op issues and connectivity problems should still be addressed for this to be viable in the long run. Until that happens, you should test out some of the early maps and see what you think. I'd say it makes a lot of sense to be able to play with your friends on these community maps. The last thing I'm going to cover is a little bit more controversial, so I'm going to keep it short. The flashlight does flicker after about 3 minutes into using it, similar to that of the first game, but there weren't as many changes as the community was hoping for. But there is a little bit more information that was revealed on that subject in countless interviews done with the other Dying Light 2 creators, so go check those out. I would love to hear how you all feel about the new Nightmare Mode update, everything about it, not just the difficulty, but things like the fixed fire leap, and if you feel so inclined, of course, you can talk about the flashlight. But if you love Dying Light 2 and you want to talk more about it, even with me, feel free to join my Discord. I'm going to be linking that into the description as well as the pinned comment. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. As a whole, I think the Nightmare Mode is a really great foundational update that's going to make the game that much better in the future for things like the next DLC and tower raids. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you all in the next video.